Do you ever take a moment to realize the vast amount of networks that you have in your life? The connections that are part of a broader social ecosystem? Those are your relationships. Relationships aren't a foreign word to any of us. I've even heard of that term since I was a child. Relationships define a majority of who we are, a big chunk of who we are as individuals. But what if I told you that relationships also define other aspects of your life? Which is why I'm here today to bring you a new perspective of relationships. Why relationships should matter in your life. Here's why relationships should matter. So I'm gonna be a little personal here. I'm gonna be real with you guys. I'm not like the biggest social butterfly, but I am a big social butterfly. Now, I'm not trying to sound contradictory, but I have made a lot of connections thanks to putting in effort. And the effort paid off when I saw who was real, who was loyal, who was willing to meet me halfway where I'm at, and who are fake people, who are the people that have interests and who are the people that are disinterested and don't want to engage with me. I had to navigate all of that in high school, and even to this day. This is a lifelong process, okay? But the question still remains, why should relationships matter? Your relationships matter because they help you understand who is supporting you and who is on your side. Now, that's obvious, right? But it's really not that obvious because it's becoming increasingly hard to tell who is on your side, especially when you're facing vulnerabilities or when you're facing adversity. Adversity comes in and takes everything away that's good, takes the environment and twists the environment from something calm to something egregious. And your friends and your relationships will help you determine if they're really worthy of keeping. Some relationships are worthy of keeping. You're still going to face conflict with them. You're still going to confront them and be like, what the fuck, man? What the fuck, man? Like, what are you doing? Like, this is stressing me out. You're going to express frustration with those people. And with other people, you're going to have conflict and they're just going to push and push and push harder to the point where you're overwhelmed. And you're already overwhelmed by what's happening around your environment. But you're going to learn and you're going to find tools that help you navigate through difficult problems. Because adversity doesn't last long. Nothing lasts long. And your relationships don't last long either. But the ones that do, that's also another reason why relationships matter. The ones that are long lasting, because there is mutual effort. I met one of my closest friends 3 years ago, around this time. This was like the beginning of 11th grade. And now that I look back, I don't regret it. At first, things were a little bit cold. The way I met him was, I kind of got a little desperate, but then I told myself, don't get desperate this year like you were in 10th grade. Make some new friends. Don't force it. Let things move naturally and smoothly, right? So that's exactly what I did for the first week of 11th grade. And next thing you know, I approached his table and I was just trying to make new friends and not force myself to feed interactions and build a connection. I was building connections in a natural way. So, sorry, my neck is itchy. So I approached his table and there was like one other person sitting next to him. So I talked to that person. That one person was pretty outlandish. He had a performative style, and I just didn't really rock with it immediately. I was like, okay, I can kind of tell what this person is. I'm emotionally intelligent. Another thing about relationships, by the way, really quickly, is that you also determine your emotional intelligence through relationships, and you can increase your emotional intelligence by practicing, what's that word? Practicing self-agency, practicing self-awareness. I'm literally all about self-awareness. You're going to hear me say self-awareness the entire time, right? That's exactly what I had during this moment when I met someone who is actually one of my best friends right now. Only two best friends that I have right now. So I'm not going to say his name, but this best friend, he has a more calm, grounded energy. And I vibed with that. I really did. The first day I met him, I was like, I know him and I are going to have a good connection. I wasn't jumping to conclusions, but I assured myself that this connection is something worth investing. So then I put effort, and I was just being myself. I wasn't forcing anything out of myself. I wasn't being performative like the other dude was. And we had a chill interaction. And that was the end of that. I asked for his name. He said his name. I said my name. Lunch was over. Next thing you know, 2 weeks later, we kind of had a period where we didn't sit next to each other. And that was kind of weird. I wouldn't say it was necessarily awkward, but I was wondering, I hope he's okay. He probably moved somewhere else. That's fine. And I was honestly sitting by myself. All right. That's the craziest part about all of this shit. I was sitting by myself. Next thing you know, I'm sitting at my lunch table and he comes to my table and I'm like, okay, I remember this guy. I say what's up to him and we were just talking. And then that moment really changed everything because it felt like a full circle moment of trust that I never experienced in my life. And we talked daily for the rest of 11th grade. Isn't that crazy? It should be crazy because that's just proof that your relationships matter. It is proof because if you stand out to someone, they're going to keep coming. If they really want to push the friendship forward, they will find a way. But you also need to push the friendship forward. Otherwise, you're going to have one-sided dynamics that are imbalanced. You want balanced dynamics every single time. And if you don't, well, you decide how you take it there. You decide how you take the dynamic from there on. But I highly suggest that you pay attention to who's paying attention. Like my best friend did. And we still talk to this day. Things have slowed down because the post-high school transition really slowed a lot of momentum. But the point still stands that we're still talking and we're still communicating on the phone. And I think that matters more than just having inconsistency talking. Another reason why your relationships matter is because you get consistency. Or you don't get consistency. There is no in between. You either get one thing or you get the other. I remember with someone else that was my former best friend, he was actually way closer than my best friend that I have right now when I first met him. By the time I met one of my current best friends, my former best friend was already very close with me. The problem was he kept showing me inconsistency in the way he talked, the way he was showing up, the way he was carrying himself. He was carrying himself as someone who was softly manipulative. And I didn't realize this. But he also is someone that has a big heart. He's just a sympathetic person. And I'm more of an empathetic person. You'll also need to realize that in order to determine your relationships matter or not, you have to go by alignment. If there is misalignment, you guys are not going to click. There is a mismatch in your energy. That doesn't mean you should cut them off. That means you should prioritize and take your priorities socially somewhere else, where you're valued and where you do match with that person's energy. Clearly, I didn't match with my former best friend's energy, and instead of doing something about it, instead of communicating with him, I just kind of allowed itself to move on as if nothing happened. That was my biggest mistake, because later I realized, and learned that he wasn't the best person for me, and he wasn't generally a good person, and he was eating himself up when he finally came to the realization that he isn't a good person. And he was also influenced by some narcissistic environments in his life. I'm not going to say who they are. I just have a feeling that his family was feeding into the narcissism. And I'm not a person who tolerates narcissism. That is my standard. And speaking of standards and values, this is another reason why your friendships and relationships matter. If you have a coworker who likes to play games with you, who likes to race you and pace yourself at a rate where you normally don't pace yourself, is that a healthy relationship? No. And that matters because coworkers are relationships. Even your college friends are relationships. Friends that you have in a leadership club. I know some of you guys are in a leadership club, but I want you to pay attention. I want you to realize that those relationships still matter because they determine if they're a good fit for you or not. It's all about alignment. It's all about finding the right folks. And once you find the right people, everything else will fall into place. I promise you. I have found the right people this year. I'm a sophomore in college. I have found the right people this year. I didn't find the right people in high school. Even though I maintain a lot of connections in high school, a majority of my high school connections are surface level. Some of them are really deep and impactful. Some of them I still hold on because no matter what we went through, there's a huge wave of loyalty that is present in the background. And that's another reason why relationships matter, because you can go through the worst shit and they can still come back in your life because you had an impact on who they are, and vice versa. Your relationships has an impact on who you are and how you feel. You are what your friends are. Like, I don't remember the exact quote. Don't quote me on this, but you are who you hang around. There we go. That is the quote. You are who you hang around. If you hang out with 5 losers, you'll be the 6th, the loser. If you hang out with 7 rich kids, you'll be the 7th. That's how it is. You can't change the reality. This is simple social psychology. What you can do is you can change how you respond. So that's another reason why your relationships matter. And I know I already listed 5 reasons, but it determines who you are, and it also shows you how you feel. If you just go around and say, this person makes me feel good every time, even though you know that's not true, you're not being authentic. You're not being authentic with the people you love, and they're going to catch the lie faster than you'll catch the lie. This is why self-awareness is so important. And this is also why you should keep on feeding the connections that make you feel good, that make you feel safe, where you don't have to pretend to be someone else that you're not, and you don't have to put up an act, put up a facade. Because I've done that before, and I really don't like that. So please, guys, whatever you do, do not put a front. Because people are not going to like the front that you put up. They'd rather see the real, imperfect you. And that goes for romantic relationships too. I don't have any experience in romantic relationships. I'm 20 years old, but I don't care because I have so many good relationships right now. And when the time is right, I will find a romantic relationship. I'm not rushing myself. Finally, just so I can save up time for this video, the final reason why your relationships matter is because relationships determine your growth. Everyone grows at different paces, but your relationships determine where you are in your life. And relationships happen like someone is reading a chapter off of a long book. You can read like 5 to 10 chapters of The Giver, for example. You know when you're going to finish a chapter. That's how relationships work. Some relationships come and go. Other relationships don't come and go. I've had so many relationships in high school that just came and go. I remember literally the day after graduation. Mind you, we were in a peak. We were in a social peak. Those 2 weeks were the fastest, like momentous. I don't know how to describe it. Like they were the fastest periods ever in terms of connection. I don't think I've had a fast connection period as that. And I even talk about this with like one of my friends too. My best friend, one of my best friends was also part of the dynamic. I talk about that with him sometimes. We all bonded really quick after senior prom. I don't think I ever had any dynamic like that before. It went from individual networks to a whole group chat. That shit mattered because it determined how I was going to be for the summer, for that specific summer. This was summer of 2024, not even long ago. It shaped who I was for the rest of the year, even in early 2025. Eventually, that chapter ended because early 2025, I met people in my faith group. Yes, I'm in a faith group. And I met people in college. And then college replaced my social status. It replaced the entire social ecosystem entirely. All the high school connections faded. The ones that really stayed are the ones that had an impact on how I felt. And I kept a lot of my relationships in high school. I would say like around 7 to 9 people in high school. I kept those relationships because they helped me grow, and they continue to help me grow. And that's that. So what I want you to take out from this video are 6 reasons why your relationships matter. They help you grow, and they could also help you heal. That's one reason. They have a long-lasting impact on how you feel, which is why you come back and you show consistency. They reveal whether they're a good fit to you or not, the third reason. They help you understand what stage you're at in life right now, because everyone is in a stage right now. They could be at the end of the stage, they could be in the middle, they could be at the end. Right now, I'm in this weird transition phase. I'm experiencing some really big stuff right now, all while my relationships are being steady and intact. That's how layered life can get. I'm not making this shit up. Like, that's how layered life can get. Life is full of unpredictability. You have to be ready for it. Finally, the 2 reasons relationships determine your alignment with your values and standards. So that's 5. The final reason, if I can remember clearly, the final reason is they reveal who they are to you. So take everything that I said with a grain of salt. Find your group, and you will find fulfillment in your life. I promise you, you will not have any regrets. And if there are challenges, you learn. You keep on learning from the mistakes you made. If you made a mistake, don't sweat it. You learn from that mistake and you grow as a person. And if there are challenges, embrace the challenges. Don't be afraid of conflict, but don't escalate conflict either, because that's a whole other issue. And that is the biggest mood killer and probably the number 1 reason why your friendships die quickly. This happens way too many times. I've seen so many romantic relationships where tension, unresolved feelings has led to the slow, painful deaths of romantic relationships, friendships, and even communities. So be mindful, be self-aware, but don't dive deep and don't dig yourself in a rabbit hole that you don't want to be a part of. And you don't have to be completely self-aware. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be present. You have to show commitment. And you just have to understand that you only have a set of amount of relationships that you truly value. You have to understand and you have to categorize where each relationship goes. If this relationship goes in the I'm not prioritizing you so much relationship, or if this relationship is going into the main relationships that you're investing. That's all you got to do. All you got to do is take into account which relationships energize you and which relationships drain you. That's all I got for today's video. Let me know about your experiences. Let me know if you guys find this type of conversation interesting. I would love to have a discussion.